On the surface, squids are nothing more than strange creatures drifting in the water. But the deeper you go, the more deformed, twisted and strange squids become. Some of the deep sea squids that have been discovered look like aliens lurking in the water. They evolved to adapt to their surroundings, but this only results in elongated limbs, gigantic eyeballs, and weird, translucent skin. Not the friendly sea creatures you want to come across when surrounded by utter darkness. So, why do squids get so creepy in the deep, dark abyss of the water? In order to understand the cruel trick evolution has played on squids, we need to explore why this happens in the first place. Most of us are never going to see these scary squid monstrosities because they live incredibly deep underwater, where pressure is intense and no sunlight can ever reach. When we reach the twilight zone or the mesopelagic zone. This zone is 3,300 feet away from the surface, which means that it gets very little sunlight. The conditions in this zone have given birth to species like the firefly squid, which have evolved to create a blue bioluminescent glow, very similar to a glow stick. This ability allows the squid to detect both prey and predator. There is nothing really too creepy about a squid that can glow, but compared to the deeper levels of the sea, the twilight zone feels like a playhouse for kids. The twilight zone also contains the glass squid, which is completely translucent. This type of squid has evolved to become almost invisible to both prey and predator. The glass squid gets this amazing attribute because of a lack of pigment in their skin. This is why the species looks like transparent marble balls floating in the water. You can even see their internal organs, which gives the squid a more ethereal appearance. The Humboldt squid is much larger in size, growing up to 6 feet long. They are also the first squids to develop hooks. These vicious creatures like to eat their own kind. So not only do they have sharp weapons, they are also cannibals. Humboldt squids are known to be aggressive hunters, and their bright red colour makes them appear all the more ferocious. This is why they are also known as the Red Devil. But despite this negative reputation, the Humboldt squid do not attack human beings. So far, none of the squids are quite catastrophically terrifying. However, things only start to get more insane as we approach the bathypelagic zone, also known as the Midnight Zone. You can really see evolution at work here because the squids in this zone look more like ancient aliens that belong to a different planet. The zone is 13,000 feet away from the surface, so the squids here are bound to have all manner of strange deformities. Let's start off with the Promicoteuthis, a squid which appears to have human teeth. Looking at this creature feels incredibly uncomfortable because it has a gaping black mouth which is surrounded by a row of human teeth. While the image itself is incredibly unsettling, there is no need to worry. The Promicoteuthis squid doesn't actually have human teeth. It simply has a layer of soft tissue that surrounds the main beak. Not that this information makes the appearance any less disturbing. As the name suggests, the giant squid is known for its sheer, massive size. It can grow up to 45 feet in length, making it one of the largest squid species in the world. Its eyeballs alone are extremely gargantuan and creepy to look at. They are known to be bigger than plates, growing more than 11 inches in width. Imagine holding a huge basketball that makes your hands look tiny in comparison. That is what it would feel like to hold a singular eye of the giant squid. Since the giant squid can only be found in the darkness of the Midnight Zone, this means that their bodies have evolved to survive severe conditions. Compared to the squids in the Twilight Zone, the squids residing in the Midnight Zone have less access to sunlight and prey. This is precisely why species like the giant squid are much larger in size. They need to have the ability to store more energy because they do not have an endless supply of food. The giant squid also has tough tissues which form a bulk of its body. Its beak can tear through flesh, and even its tentacles have sharp hooks that can easily rip apart any prey or predator. The giant squid is also known to fight the equally massive sperm whale. So you can imagine just how much of a colossal beast the giant squid really is. Apart from its impressive size, we don't really know anything about the giant squid. Since these beasts lurk in the very depths of the water, it is difficult to investigate anything about their lifespan, their mating and eating habits. Deeper down into the water lies the abyssal zone, which is 19,700 feet away from the surface. From the name alone, you can pretty much guess that the abyssal zone is just an endless void. The conditions here cannot support life as we know it. The temperatures are near freezing, the pressure is extremely intense, and there is no sunlight whatsoever. Given the intense conditions in the abyssal zone, the type of life supported here is nothing more than sea cucumbers and specialized worms. However, this area is also home to the Asperoteuthis acanthoderma, a type of squid that is very long and thin. Not much is known about this creature because it is very difficult to examine and observe their behaviors. All we know is that this squid is quite gelatinous and basically floats in absolute darkness, perhaps looking for its next prey. It uses its lengthy feeding tentacles, which makes it easier for this species to find food in the darkness of the abyssal zone. The Asperoteuthis acanthoderma does not sound too alarming, mostly because we don't have that much information about it. But something far worse lives in the lower levels of the abyss, and that is the colossal squid. Not to be confused as a relative of the giant squid, the colossal squid is something entirely different. This immensely heavy squid can grow up to 35 feet in length. It's not quite as long as a giant squid, but it has a massive body and tentacles, making it much heavier. The squid also has tentacles with sharp hooks that can actually rotate and dig deeper into flesh. Once the colossal squid has its prey, it violently latches on and drags its victims to the dark depths below. It uses the rotating hooks to tear up flesh with terrifying ease. The colossal squid is the only creature that can rival the giant squid in terms of size and strength. Sperm whales are also known to venture into the abyssal zone and hunt down colossal squids. They usually come back with battle scars from the colossal squid's hooks and tentacles, which show just how dangerous the colossal squid can be. Much like the giant squid, the colossal squid has evolved due to a factor known as deep-sea gigantism. This development occurs in animals who are exposed to the intense pressure and freezing temperatures of the deep ocean. Biologically, it makes sense for these creatures to have bodies which can withstand the high pressure and survive for long periods of time without any access to food. The Hadal Zone is the ocean's deepest sunless abyss. Crushing pressure and freezing dark make it an apocalyptic realm where the strangest giants evolve. Anything that can survive in the Hadal Zone is bound to be really weird. This is why the Magnapinna is one of the strangest and creepiest squids to ever exist. Also known as the big fin squid, the Magnapinna doesn't even resemble a conventional squid. In fact, it is vastly different from anything that we have seen from the midnight and abyssal zones. The Magnapinna squid has never been seen in real life. We only have grainy footage, which makes the creature appear more disturbing. The few Magnapinnas that have been spotted are about 20 feet in size, but they were mostly juvenile, which means that this creature may have the ability to grow bigger than the colossal squid itself. These alien-like entities are completely unknown to human beings because they live in the deepest, darkest corner of the planet. On top of that, the Hadal Zone is so deep that even the Magnapinna squids have only been found on the upper levels, meaning that there is a possibility of more than one type of Magnapinna squid existing in the Hadal Zone. In fact, there could be completely otherworldly creatures that reside deep within the water, but we've just never discovered them.